Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of Virtual Professional Speakers Toastmasters Club. In general, well, we always record our meetings, but in general, those recordings are only available to club members. But this particular meeting will be available to the public off of our website and off of YouTube. So if you have any hesitations about your face or your name being seen, please go ahead and block your camera and change your name. But we hope that you'll stay visible and that you will enjoy today's presentation. With that, I will turn the meeting over to our president, Stan Piskorski.
Thank you so much, Linda, and welcome everyone to our special presentation. This is a fifth week of the month presentation. We don't have those all the time, obviously. So with the 4th of July coming up upon us, we decided it might be a good idea to have a special presentation. And the person who's giving this presentation is one of the founding members of this club. So please and the entire presentation, we're not including an agenda or anything this evening, because basically the meeting is the presentation that Kevin's going to be giving. And also there will be some time afterwards for questions. And I'm confident that we're going to have quite a few questions, because the more you know about this stuff, the more you know about AI and ChatGPT, the more curious you get. So let me give you a formal introduction. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and curious minds, in this special fifth Thursday edition of the Virtual Professional Speakers Toastmasters Club, you will be introduced with several revolutionary breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. AI, if used properly, and if I could underline that, if used properly, I think is the most important thing to remember here, is a formidable model that can transform the way we interact with technology, with an unparalleled ability to comprehend and generate human-like text that transcends the boundaries of traditional communication tools, from answering complex queries to assisting in creative endeavors. AI has the power to unlock new possibilities and reshape our world. Today, let us embark on a journey to explore the limitless potential of artificial intelligence and embrace a future where human and machine collaboration knows no bounds. Once again, let me remind you, this is going to be a publicly available video. If you are uncomfortable with having your image or your name on video, please turn it off, turn your image off, or change your name, or both. So with that, I'm going to say, please help me welcome Kevin Desrosiers.
Hello, Toastmasters and friends. I'm going to start with a couple questions. First question is, how many of you are familiar with AI, be it ChatGPT or anything else? Just show of hands or raise your virtual hand. How many of you are using it? So several people are using it. And I was first exposed to ChatGPT, which I'll talk quite a bit about tonight, about 3 months ago. And I had never seen what it can do. And when I was finished watching the presentation on ChatGPT, I was just floored, because AI is everywhere right now. You may not want to use it, but at least you need to know what it is doing and what it is capable of. And I want to share a quote. I don't know who said this, but I read this on the internet, and it was, "It will not be AI that takes your job. It will be humans who know how to use AI that take your job."
Yeah.
Do you want to become one of those humans? So the more you know about AI, the better off you'll be, whether you decide to use it or not. And I'm going to start where Stan talked in the beginning, a little bit about ethics. I am going to show you some things tonight I hope you don't do, but you need to be aware that people are doing these things with AI. There are some good uses of AI. There are some bad uses of AI. So you need to use your own moral compass and decide how you're going to use AI. In the real world, it's about getting the right answers instead of how you got them. And I learned that back when I was in grade school, when calculators first came out. And my teachers always said, you're never going to have a calculator with you all the time. You need to learn how to multiply, divide, and subtract and add longhand. Well, guess what? We all have those little cell phones with us all the time. We have those. And if there's an easier way to do what we have to do in an ethical and moral way, by all means, use those tools. And I think that's what AI is. Now, there's some legal challenges with AI, and I need to talk about that up front as well. AI is dominating the art and the text world. The art world, we're seeing pictures generated by AI over and over again. And people aren't bashful about it. They're saying it's AI generated. And so far, the courts have said, if you do the prompts and you generate that AI image, you own the copyright to it. That could change tomorrow, could change next month, next year. I don't know. But I worry about that because as a nature photographer who sold several of his pictures, I will be watching for my pictures. And if somebody takes one of my pictures and it's 90% my picture, I'll go after them. And don't expect other people not to go after you. Perfect example of that with art is Chihuly. For those of you that are in St. Louis right now, you know our botanical garden is having a Chihuly exhibit. If you take a picture of Chihuly's art and you try to sell that picture, he comes after you, or his organization comes after you, and they win every time. So there are some precedents. You need to be careful. And the same with text. So far, the courts are saying if you generate something in AI, you ask the prompts and you change it by at least 20%, this was as of March of this year, it's your content. So how long that'll be, I don't know, but I think that's something we all need to know going forward. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been using AI since the mid 2000s, around 2006, 2007. You say, wait, AI is kind of a new thing, but it really isn't. AI started years ago in photography. And let me show you how AI works in photography. This is a picture about a month ago. I was over in Amsterdam and Rotterdam, and I was on top of a building called the White House in Rotterdam, overlooking the town. And you can see in the middle there are the cube houses. To the left of that, a building I called a pencil with that little point. And then off to the left is Markethal, which is a huge indoor market. Well, if I am in AI, let me just minimize this so I can get to my controls. I apologize, I got to move the pictures. They're in the way of my controls. I can go and I can take that picture and I can go down to the bottom and I can go to transform, and the buildings aren't exactly straight in there. So I can go to auto transform and it straightened all the buildings for me. So they're vertical because you have a perspective shift when you're taking a picture of buildings sometimes. It knows how to analyze that. If I go to the basic panel, instead of me adjusting the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, the brightness and everything, all I do is click auto and AI figures out how to do all that for me. And this has been around since the early 2000s with Photoshop and Lightroom and other photography programs. So AI isn't new. We know how to have computers interpret things and then give their correct answers for that. Now, what I would like to do is go into AI and show you some things. What we will cover today, let me get to the screen, and this is ChatGPT. We're going to cover a few things. First of all, we're going to talk, since this is a diverse audience, not just about AI for Toastmasters, we're going to talk about it in other settings as well. As an author, I'm going to talk a little bit about it in writing books, maybe writing blogs if you're an entrepreneur. So we'll go into that. And I'm going to start, though, with a simple Toastmasters answer. And this is example. This is going to be interactive. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, we all know what Table Topics is. Table Topics, you're asked a question and you learn how to think on your feet, and you give an answer for 1 to 2 minutes on that. Well, at my Toastmasters meeting on Tuesday, the person in charge of Toastmasters generated their questions from AI. So who would like to give me an example of a topic, and we will generate some table topics questions using AI. Just blurt it out. Somebody unmute yourself and say something.
Benefits of going for a walk.
Benefits of going for the walk. Okay, a walk. So,
By the way,
And
we're
I
still
can't-
looking at your Lightroom screen.
oh, you are. Okay. I apologize. Let me get to share. Okay, can you see GPT now?
Got it.
Is that a yes?
Yep,
Can you
it's
see my
fine.
GPT screen?
Yes.
Okay. Right. 10 questions for table topics about the benefits of, let's just make it exercise instead of a walk, because that really makes it. So I just hit enter. And now it's thinking. And that quickly, I have 10 questions about exercising. How does regular exercise contribute to maintaining a healthy weight and preventing obesity? Drop down a little. What are some ways in which exercise can help you manage stress and boost your overall mood? How long does it take you to come up with table topics questions if you're in your club and you're a table topics master? That was, what, just a few seconds? It took me more time to type in the question than it took for AI to generate 10 pretty darn good questions, if you can see those on your screen. So that is a simple example of that. Now, one I will never do, and I do not recommend, but I know some Toastmasters are doing it, is writing an entire speech utilizing AI. And that is scary, because when we enter the international speech contest, we say it's our own work. And I would bet you a lot of money that at least a handful of the speeches that made it through to the semifinals, which were announced this week, were generated and helped by AI. But how would that work? How would we do something like that? So I'm going to toggle over, and I did a question or a little prompt ahead of time. And I am going to type in this question. Okay, so I know that when I speak at about 130 words a minute. So I know how many words I should have in a speech. So I am going to type a question here in Chat GPT. I'm going to say, write a 780 word humorous speech, which with a catchy opening and closing about how to bake brownies, something nice and simple. And then I just go and click enter. Now, I would never start with that, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished people. But go and just read a little, or I'll just read a little bit of that to you and let you see. Down about 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs up from the bottom. Now, as we approach the end of this culinary adventure, let's talk about the most challenging part, resisting the temptations to devour the entire tray. I mean, who could blame you? The warm, gooey center is the crackly top, the perfect balance of sweetness. It's a brownie lover's dream come true. I couldn't write a speech that good. I'm sorry. And that took all of 10, 15 seconds. That is what is happening. And then you go through it and you can go ahead and edit it however you want. You can, like I said, I'd take out the ladies and gentlemen, I would add my own things to it. But look at how easy it is for someone to generate a speech. The good news is I never speak from a memorized speech. I always write an outline and I speak from that outline. So I don't want to go to the trouble of memorizing something like this. But somebody will. And to me, this is plagiarism. But people are not going to get caught. People are going to do it. It's human nature to try to take the easy way out. but this is what ChatGPT can do. And if you notice, I wrote here with a catchy opening and closing. So how you word the prompt in ChatGPT, and you're going to see this as we do a few others, is very crucial. If you word it properly, then it's going to get what you want. And if I don't like this, I can come down to the bottom and I can regenerate the response. So I can do it again. And now it's got a different version of the same speech. And I can take pieces and bits of this one, parts of the other one, and now I can meld them into a speech. Or I can refine the question and I can say, I'll just copy this, go back down. And now I may want to say, I'm going to take out humorous and I'm going to say informative. And hit enter. They like ladies and gentlemen as an opening, which I don't, but you may. And now it's more of an instruction on how to do it. It takes out some of the humor. And we've generated an 800-word speech. If you speak slower than I do, which most people do, then you maybe put it at 120 words times 6. I did this for a 6-minute speech on the number of words I have. But you see what I'm saying is we know how many words a minute we say. We can structure it to get a 6-minute speech, a 7-minute speech, whatever you want to do. And just like that, you have a speech. And once again, I consider this to be something I would not ever want to do or ever do. But you need to know this is out there. You need to know this is happening. This is part of the real world right now, like it or not. And this way you can see, and we're going to see some other examples too. So prompt engineering is critical. You just learned that, how I took out the word humorous. I wanted it to have a catchy opening and closing. I like to use the word pithy sometimes, or I like to use some other words that you'll see in here that generate some punchy type items. And just play with the prompts and get the prompts you want. So now I'm going to go back to everybody and let's use a news example. Can somebody, and I would rather this be non-political. Can you tell me something that's in the news right now that we can Google and find a good article on, possibly?
The drought.
The drought. And this is just Google. On the drought in, I'm just going to make it the United States. Sorry about our people here from Canada and from Japan. Okay, so The Economist. Let's see if I have access to the full article. So here's, it's a pretty short article, but let's do this. I'm going to keep that open. Or let me see. I'm going to try to find a little bit longer article so we can do something with it. Let's see. U.S. News and World Reports. Let's see if they have something that's a little bit longer. Okay, let's do it this way. I'm going to highlight this article and just copy it direct. No, I'm not going to sign up. Let's see. Oh, it is a pretty large article. Okay. I'm going to copy that. And now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. And I'm going to do a new chat. I'm going to put a couple spaces here. I'm going to just paste that article in exactly the way it was. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a prompt in there. And that prompt will be, Rewrite this article into an 800-word article from the perspective of a consultant. Make it conversational and quippy. So let's do that. We'll scroll down. And here it is, rewriting this article out of, was it US News and World Reports. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. And this blew me away when I saw this presentation, a person doing this. Then I'm going to go into another paraphrasing tool called Quillbot. I'm going to paste it there. And I'm going to do it in, let's see, I want to do it in English. And let's just do it in standard. We'll do it in standard mode. And now I'm going to paraphrase it. So now I've taken it from one form of AI into another, had it reworded again. So now I have a reworded so it doesn't show like it's been from ChatGPT. And I will scroll down to the bottom of this. We will copy that another time. Whoops, I missed part of that. Let's see. And copy. Now I will go into Grammarly.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but look at how long this is taking to stand. It's not taking long at all. And when I make my point in a few seconds here, you're going to be shocked. So Control V, I will make this to inform, and I'll say done. Now, Grammarly, you're going to find that ChatGPT's grammar is horrible, and so are the others. And I don't always take what Grammarly says if I use Grammarly, but let's just let it do a few things. But what I really want to show you after we do this, let's just remove the phrase.
Wow.
And I'm going to move this so I can see the thing. So right now it's calculating how well it's written up here. It's an 85. Remove the phrase, and it's going to keep going up. And eventually this is going to spell and grammar check this for me. And normally I would look at this and I would decide if I want to do those changes or not. And just a couple more clicks, we'll be done with that. And then we're going to do a plagiarism check.
What's it calculating?
It's calculating how well it's written. It gives you a percentage, you know, it's like a English major grading your paper. So I got a 97% overall score on my grammar and punctuation and all that right now. So it just keeps it started, I think, at about an 85. If you want to leave some things in there, you know, leave them in, but I'm at 98. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Now I scroll down to the bottom, I click on plagiarism. %3 of my text can be deemed as plagiarized. And this is what a lot of schools and professors use. So and you're quoting this source here. So I wouldn't even worry about it. But you can go ahead and change that if you have something that's a line lifted directly from something. So I summarized it in ChatGPT. I redid it in Quillbot. I brought it over into Grammarly. I've got a 98% overall score on how well it's written, according to Grammarly. And I've got 3% plagiarism. You can go redo that sentence. But if you think any students are writing term papers anymore, you have another thought coming, because this is how people are doing things in this world. Once again, this is not something I would recommend. This is not something I would do. But when I saw this example given by a speaker at my National Speakers Association chapter, I was absolutely floored. So you can take an article like that from one AI into another AI, into a third AI, and you have a paper. That took us less than 10 minutes, maybe, just on a random topic that one of our audience members threw out there and we Googled. And that to me is a little bit scary. Not a little bit scary, that is a lot scary. So another example is, let's say you have your own business and you want to do YouTube shorts, or you want to do something like TikTok videos and that. What would be something that you would like to watch TikTok videos on, a topic? Anybody? I'll tell you what, I just happened to paste something else in here for a friend of mine, and I will use that instead. So he is a professional speaker, and what he talks about is a concept of changing to a growth mindset. And I said, hello? Okay. So I said, right. I put in here, write 25 titles for YouTube shorts about the concept of changing to a growth mindset, something that will get YouTube viewers, make the titles quippy and with an edge. And now I click generate. Here are 25 titles for generating a growth mindset. From fixed to fierce, embracing the growth mindset. Crushing comfort zones, how a growth mindset changes everything. And on down the line, you can read those. Now my friend has 25 titles for YouTube shorts, or for any other kind of reel, if it's, you know, if you do reels instead, or whatever platform you're putting your short videos in. But then it gets worse or better depending what you say. So right now, I've got those 25, and I'm lazy today. I don't want to write those myself. So I am going to write an 80-word script, and a short is usually 30 seconds or so. So 80 words you can do in about 30 seconds. So write an 80-word script for a YouTube short video that is inspirational, helpful, and entertaining, with a great opening hook for number 1 through 5 above. So it's going to write an 80-word script for the first 5 titles it generated. So for each of these, it is generated. So opening shot, person smashing a brick wall. So it gives you things. Sick and tired of hitting roadblocks? It's time to unleash your inner well, yeah, I might tell it not to use swear words. I would add that. And crush limitations with the power of a growth mindset. In this adrenaline pumping video, we're unleashing a barrage of kick-ass money. And like I said, I'd get rid of that. So I'd come down, I'd redo it. Without any swear words. And let's do it again. Or you could put for a family audience. And here we go. Let's just take this one here. So the title was Mindset Magic, Unleashing Your Potential with a Growth Mindset. Ready to witness some mind-blowing magic? The real magic lies within your mindset. In this captivating video, we'll reveal the secrets to unblocking your true potential with the power of a growth mindset. Get ready to witness the astonishing transformations that happen when you embrace the magic of growth thinking. And there were 4 others up here for the others as well. So people that do blogs, people that do shorts, they do videos, they do anything like that. What you can do is you can get the titles from ChatGPT or another AI. And then from there, it will help you determine what you can do with those, if that's what you want to do. Any questions at this point yet? I see there are a couple things in chat and I can't see chat from here. Okay. Oh, Dwayne, yeah, Dwayne told me he had to leave early. Okay, very good. Any questions from anybody yet? Okay.
Yeah, I
Kevin,
I have a question too. My question is just why in one of your examples, it said, why did it stop generating? And it said, do you want me to keep generating? And-
Probably because I hit something.
Well, I get that too sometimes, and I'm just wondering why.
Okay, Connie, you're breaking up a little bit.
It does have a word limit on what it generates. And so
Yeah, and I am in
you'll have to
the,
type
so I'm in the free version. Yeah,
continue generating.
Okay.
yeah, if you hit continue, yeah, that'll do that. But yeah, I'm in the free version right now as well. So there is a version for $20 a month, I believe it is. And you can
Yes.
get that. Right now, I'm just going with the free, trying to do things. Okay. Any other
Kevin,
questions? Yes,
Kevin,
Dan.
you mentioned two other AI programs, one Grammarly, which I get advertisements for all the time, but I've never heard of Quillbot before. Are there others that people maybe are not as familiar with as they have begun to get familiar with ChatGPT?
Actually, Bing has their own right now, and that's a free one also. So I don't use Microsoft Edge, but it connects you to Bing, and it started about a week or so ago, and it does AI just like ChatGPT. So you're going to see so many of them entering the market right now. Everybody's trying to capture that market share because, yeah, there's a free version, but they're going to limit it so you eventually go to the paid version. But yeah, Bing is another one. If you have Bing, that will do it as well. And I'm sure there are quite a, if you just Google it, I'm sure we'll find several others out there.
So Kevin, there is another one that you had introduced us to about a year or so ago, and which I have the free version, and I think it has like a 20-word limit. I don't remember the name. It's only like when I'm typing, sometimes it's gonna pop up.
Yeah, let me look at tools. So it would have been speaking ideas. Trying to figure out where I might have had that. Yeah, I don't remember what one that was, and I don't see it right away in my bookmarks. But yeah, there are several of them out there. If you just Google AI text generators, well, let's do it right now. So AI.
There's also copy.ai as well.
Okay, and I have to move this on here so I can see. So here's something called WordTune, AI GPT, which we're using. Here, top text generators for 2023. And we scroll down. Jasper, okay, so there are a whole bunch of them and you have links to them and you can go and find out what they are. But yeah, everybody's trying to get into the market. ChatGPT got a head start on a lot of people. But that doesn't mean that one of these others isn't going to take over. But, you know, go out and explore and see what works for you because there are several of them out there.
So Kevin, the one that you had introduced us to was Rewrite.
Rewrite? Okay, I don't remember that one, but yeah, I found some of those things a year or so ago, but they were very limited. I got those from another presentation I attended. Okay, very good. So another example I'd like to give is, how many of you like to read? Anybody like to read books? Okay, I don't know about you. I don't have the time to read all of the books that I would like to read. So how can I solve that with ChatGPT? I typed another prompt this afternoon. I hope it works. So let's see. And that is book. And copy. We'll go back into ChatGPT. And we'll do new chat. I have to move all your pictures again. Create a 500-word summary of the key points for the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That is my favorite book. I reread it every February. But let's say you don't have the time to read that book or listen to that book. Here is a 500-word summary generated by ChatGPT. And you can do it 1,000 words, whatever you have time to read. So it goes into, it gives a summary of the book. It talks about the different parts of his book and what he teaches in each part of the book. So now you can be exposed to a book that you've always wanted to read, haven't had the chance to read, but you still want to learn something about. And once again, it only took a few seconds, but now I can go out and I can see what this book is about. This may help me decide, hey, I really want to read it. When I was in high school, and don't tell my old high school teacher this, but I was in an honors English class and we all had to read one of the classics and then do a book report to our entire class on that book so we could all get exposed to several of the classics. I was assigned Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Well, I procrastinated and procrastinated and procrastinated. And they had something, they probably still have them, Cliff Notes and Monarch Notes, two different, they're little booklets that summarize it and tell you all the key parts. So I bought the Cliff Notes, I bought the Monarch Notes, and I used the two of those to generate my report to the class. And the professor didn't know, or the teacher didn't know, it was high school as a teacher. I got an A on it. But I liked the Cliff Notes and the Monarch Notes so much, I went back and I read the book. So maybe, like me, when you read that summary, it'll get you excited about that book, and you'll go back when you have time and actually read that book and get a more in-depth knowledge of it. This is just high level, but at least it gives you exposure to some things that you may not have had exposure to in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me? I have
Yeah, I can hear you.
that.
Yeah, go ahead, Connie.
I find that very useful when, you know, if you read or listen to a whole bunch of books and you say, hey, I want to start cataloging what that book was about, or it summarizes chapters really good. And so like I just finished one and I don't want to forget. And so I'm going to create my own virtual library. So I thought that was a very useful way to remember what those books were about, and just maybe it can also pull out, you know, meaningful quotes from the chapters. I just wanted to share that part.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that. Okay. Now, since we transitioned into books, many of you know that I wrote a book. It came out in October of 2021. It's Bridge Over Adversity, True Stories about Overcoming Personal Challenges. Well, I would like to advertise that book, and I have wording on my website that advertises it, but could ChatGPT do a better job than I did? Well, let's find out. So if I go into ChatGPT and I copy the query I came up with this afternoon about my book, let's see what ChatGPT has to say about my book. Create a catchy 50-word summary that entices people to read the book, Bridge Over Adversity, True Stories about Overcoming Personal Challenges. Because that's my goal, is to sell books. Discover the extraordinary power of resilience in Bridge Over Adversity, True Stories about Overcoming Personal Challenges. Embark on a captivating journey through the triumphs and tribulations of remarkable individuals who defy the odds. From heart-wrenching setbacks to breathtaking triumphs, this inspiring collection will ignite your spirit and remind you that resilience knows no bounds. Wow. That is so much better than what I wrote for my website, trying to get people to do that. What I wrote for my Amazon advertisement of my book. And I don't feel guilty about using something like that. It's using my book, something that I wrote. It's taking some summaries about that. And some of you might still, but to me, this would be a legitimate use of ChatGPT to go and do something like that. But let's say I wanted to do 100 words instead. So I will just do that and do 100 words. I want something a little bit longer because I have more space on Amazon than I do on my website. And now it's going to create a second one that is 100 words in length. Maybe. There it goes.
Maybe you can use that for the inside of your book cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a preface.
I'm allowed to. So, I mean, it's limitless what you can do. The fact that it even knows about my book and, can go out there and it knows, because I asked it to do a summary of my book several months ago when I first heard about ChatGPT, and it did a pretty darn good summary of my book, just like I did with How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a far better book than mine, even though my book's a great book. I don't compare to Dale Carnegie, but I wanted to use him as an example because that's a book you've all heard of and many of you have read. But it has so much knowledge and it can go and grab so many different things that it is just utterly amazing. But then I took it one step further today. And this is a chat that I saved because I didn't want to have to copy and paste this tonight and that. So one of my chapters in my book is about somebody that became homeless and that. So I put a prompt in here for it to rewrite the chapter in the style of Stephen Covey. I love Stephen Covey. He's a great writer. And what do people do when they find an author they like? They can recognize their style. Well, everybody's drawn to him and he's in the same genre as me, self-improvement. So I figured, who better to copy the style of than Stephen Covey? Now, this one is a little iffy whether it's fair to use or not. So here is the first chapter of my book. I just happen to have the Word version of it. And I started out on the Monday morning. Charisse was supposed to start her new job. She found herself sitting on a corner in New York, homeless. And that was supposed to be my catch, to get people interested in that. And I liked it, and a lot of people liked it. My beta readers loved it. And the chapter, I like this chapter. It's probably one of the favorite chapters of mine in the book. But then ChatGPT rewrote it. Look at this first paragraph. On that fateful morning, as the city bustled around her, Charisse found herself perched on a corner in New York City, homeless. The twists and turns of life, the twists and turns of life had brought her to this unexpected crossroad. However, as we delve into the depths of Charisse's story, we come to the understanding the profound influence that key moments and personal convictions have in shaping one's destiny. Which do you like better? The style of Stephen Covey or the style of Kevin Desrosiers? And I'll take votes for Kevin Desrosiers. Okay. I think we all agree that Stephen Covey's style is so much better. So what are the ethics if I write something, these are my words, and it is reworded in AI to be in the style of somebody else, or I just have them reword it, period, and run it through Grammarly. So when my editor goes and looks at it, I don't have to pay as much for editing because it's already been edited. We all have to weigh that. My concern in books right now, or anything, newspaper articles, magazine articles, anything we're reading on the internet that people are generating, white papers, whatever it is, how much of it can we really believe? Who is writing this? There are some authors now that are coming out with a book a month. And my book is about 180 pages, and it is 60,000 words. It took me almost 2 years to write that. Let's say somebody's a really good writer and they're dedicated, it's still going to take them several weeks to write and edit and do that book. But when you have people coming out with long novels that are 60,000 words, 70,000 words, 180 to 220 pages, I really have to question if they're doing that themselves. And that's just part of reality. That's the way the world is right now, unfortunately. And that I may write one more book. I actually wrote another book, and my editor's done it. All I have to do is rewrite one portion of it. And I had that rewritten less than 6 months after my first book. I just haven't put it out. I've just been lazy, but do I run a book through something like ChatGPT and put it in the style of somebody that everybody likes? Or do I say, rewrite this in Kevin Desrosiers style, because my style's out there now because I already wrote a book and it's got enough samples of my writing. I thought I heard a question starting to come.
Kevin, you have a question from Mark.
Okay, Mark? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Kevin, thank you so much. This is really great information. To your point, you just mentioned it, there's enough examples of your writing out there. But one of the things that I think people should understand is that, first of all, ChatGPT, their engine is from 2021. So anything that has been published since 2021 won't be in their database.
Correct.
I would challenge that when you say, please define Kevin Desrosiers' writing style, it's going to be doing a lot of guessing. And so one of the things, this idea of mimicking other people's writing styles takes away the authenticity of who we are as individuals. And so one of the things I encourage people to do is, if you write blog posts, if you have already some medium out there, you could actually go to ChatGPT and you could say, ChatGPT, please define my writing style based on the next 3 inputs. And then you put your article down on ChatGPT and it will define your writing style for you. From that point on, you can use that. I copied that to my Evernote. And so whenever I start any new prompts, I actually call it the Mark writing style. And I'll say, ChatGPT, please rewrite this content in the style of Mark, in the Mark writing style. And so the reason why I use it is because I have a VA generating a lot of my content from my videos, from my blog posts, and so on. She's creating a lot of stuff, but she is not me. And so what I needed to do is find a way to lessen my time editing her work. So now she uses the Mark writing style to come very close before she forwards it to me for final rewrite.
And I just wrote a white paper for a company, and I have that along with my book. And now there are enough examples of my writing style that it will be me if I write something. And even I wrote it, it's just going to I could just say, rewrite this, and like you said, define my style and go there. And it might give a better version. It might not. And you can't just take what they wrote and just take it verbatim. You need to read it and make sure it's correct. And
to your point,
one of your points here, it has some limitations. It may occasionally generate incorrect information. I'm going to show you that in just a minute.
Yeah.
May occasionally produce harmful instructions or biased content and limited knowledge of the world and events after 2021.
Yeah.
It will catch up. But
so one of the things that
ChatGPT
can never do is it can never incorporate your own stories into what you're writing. And storytelling is one of the most integral parts, I think, of any writing, is that you're going to be using your own stories. So that's the one cautionary I would put out there using ChatGPT, is you got to incorporate your stories.
Well, when it rewrote the second chapter of my book, and that was all storytelling inside there. I interviewed Charisse. We talked several times over the phone. I was using Zoom with her back in 2018 when I was interviewing her for my book, before most people heard of Zoom. And I recorded them. Then I transcribed all of the interviews of the 12 people in my book. And then I wrote her story in there. So when I had ChatGPT rewrite it, I did that yesterday, and I read it, it kept the stories intact. It just gave it better wording because, let's face it, Stephen Covey is a lot better writer than I am, at least for now. So yeah, you're right. Stories, it can't generate your own stories. And, you know, Darren LaCroix, the 2001 world champion of public speaking, he says, tell a story, make a point. People remember stories. They do not remember when you just spout a bunch of facts and tell them things to do. If you have a story woven into it, one of your stories that you're passionate about and that you believe in, you're going to capture your audience's attention a lot better and maybe even get that call to action that you're looking for. Okay, one more example, and I may, oh, actually, a couple more examples here. Copy. In this one, write 26 titles for blog posts about the book Bridge Over Adversity, True Stories about Overcoming Personal Challenges. Make them short, quippy, with an edge, and so they will attract readers. Do not include the book title in the blog post title. And I put that because I saw somebody else do that one time with their book, and their book title was in every single one of them. I'm hoping it doesn't do that for me. Let's see, because this is going blind. There we go. 25, almost 25. There we go. 26. I told 26, I guess. It has 26 titles for blog posts. If I want to do a blog every other week or a blog a month, I can go pick one of these. Now I can go write something about this. And these are all based on my book. So Untamed Spirit, Uncovering the Power to Overcome. And that's what my book is. It's about people that overcame severe challenges in their life and they're happy again. And I talk about the 11 characteristics that they shared or had in common that enabled them to do that. So these are some titles that I can say, yeah, that'd be a good title for a blog post. Now I can go write my blog. And I'm not going to use this to do that because, like, you know, said before, I want it in my style. And a typical blog post, I think, is about 600 words is the standard for a blog post, right in that neighborhood. Just all depends. But now I've got titles that I can use for my blogs. Something else that you can use ChatGPT for. Have you ever had data in a spreadsheet and now you've got a whole column or a whole row of responses or different things that you need to gather and summarize? Guess what? You can use ChatGPT for that as well. So let me get to this. And this isn't a great example, but so I'm in a networking group and I was responsible for giving an educational moment a lot of times when I was at the meetings. So I planned in advance and I wrote up, how many of those? I wrote up a dozen of them. So if I was at one of those meetings and they say, hey, Kevin, can you give us an educational moment? I had an educational moment ready to go. I just kept this in my folder with me at the table. So let's say I want to take a column of miscellaneous information. I'm not going to talk my daughter's birthday dinner story because I just have keywords there. I know exactly what I would say about sushi, and I can tell you that story if you're interested later. Okay, so let's go back to ChatGPT. And whoops, that's my spreadsheet there. ChatGPT, new chat. I'm going to do a couple spaces here, and I just copied and pasted everything that's in all those columns and spreadsheet. It recognized it. It didn't give it some goofy characters and stuff. And then I wrote this today, and we'll see how this comes out. And believe it or not, this is all flying blind tonight. I did not run any of these today or last few days. So create an informative essay in non-bulleted form summarizing the following educational thoughts. And now let's scroll down beyond there. Here we go. Planning every day in advance. One effective educational thought is to plan every day in advance, and talks about that to further enhance planning. Additionally, it is recommended here. So now applying the 80-20 rule to everything. It talks about that. Now, instead of the bullet points, it's actually got text for that. So let's say you're, and most of you, if not all of you, are Toastmasters. You're at a Toastmasters event, you have all the comments that people made. You can actually summarize all the comments if somebody puts them into a spreadsheet or a Word document, and you can highlight them, paste them into ChatGPT, and get an executive, you can maybe call it an executive summary. I could have probably just said, do an executive summary of this. I didn't think about that. Let's try that and see what it does there. Let me just get this. And copy. And instead of create an informative essay, create an executive summary. And I don't know about you, when I was in the corporate world, I lived in spreadsheets and I had to gather data from all these and do something with it. So it's generating right now. It did bullet points, it looks like. So, and once again, you know, you're going to have to play with the wording. Oh, this executive summary. So it did bullet points, which is probably pretty similar to what I typed in there. But you can see some of the powers of it. Now, there's one caveat that I want to go to, and I have a monthly mentoring call with a fellow Toastmaster in Australia, and I had it this last Tuesday, and I was talking to her about this presentation. And we were talking about how ChatGPT sometimes gives you bad information. And I want to give you an example of that. Let's see. Prompts, spreadsheets. Oh, I think I ran that one. So let me go into here. Here we go. Frog mouse ambush. Okay. So she said, and I can't see because my name's going to move that. Do tawny frog mouse catch moths by sitting with their mouths open, waiting for them to fly in? And ChatGPT came back and said, yes, tawny frog mouse do this. And it goes on and explains how they do that. So then my friend typed in, can you provide a source that confirms that tawny frog mouse catch moths by sitting with their beak open? And here's what ChatGPT said. I apologize for the confusion. While tawny frog moths are indeed skilled predators and rely on their camouflage to ambush tactics, I couldn't find a specific scientific source that confirms. So like you heard earlier, especially if it's a fact, you have to double check any facts that it does. If you're summarizing an article, that's one thing. But if you're having it generate content relying on facts, you better make sure it is true. And I can't cite the source for this, but somebody in the National Speaker Association was telling me about a lawyer that used ChatGPT to look at previous case history on a case they were arguing in court. And one of the cases that they cited in the courtroom that they got from ChatGPT was not an actual case. And the judge figured that out, as did the opposing lawyer. And this lawyer ended up with egg on their face. So be careful if you're using ChatGPT to get facts for stating things as facts or for data or for proving your point on something, because it doesn't always work. It does make errors. You know, it's kind of like going to Wikipedia to get all your information. You know, Wikipedia is stuff that people like you and me type in there. You don't know if what's in Wikipedia is good. And I'm sure ChatGPT also draws from Wikipedia. So, you know, you have to really do your due diligence when you look at ChatGPT and what it could possibly be giving you. And I'm going to open up chat. Yeah, Mark just put it in there. Any data focused inquiries, add please cite sources. And that's exactly what she did here, my friend. Can you provide the sources that confirm and that? But if you put it in your initial query, and once again, what I talked about, it is that wordsmithing your prompt so you get exactly what you want. And if it is fact-based, you know, go and ask for these sources. you want to definitely make sure that you do that. Okay, any other questions? Something else in chat, got to go. Thanks all. So Mark, thanks for coming. Enjoyed having you. Appreciate that. And that's pretty much what I wanted to present tonight. So I am going to stop sharing and open up conversation a little bit. We did record this, and if you want access to recording and you're not a member of our club, just go to our website and do an inquiry through there, and we will get you the link. Or it'll probably be, Linda, where will it be at on the website after it's posted?
Well, I was thinking there's if you look on the menu on the left-hand side, there's various things posted there, and we'll just create a listing there as well. As an example, if someone wants to go there now, there's that evaluation seminar that we did last fall, and there's a link to that there. So we'll create something similar.
Okay, very good. Rachel, I see your hand up. Do you have a question?
Indeed, I do. I'm a writer primarily of marketing materials.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious what your thoughts are if somebody were to say to me, oh, I don't need to hire you because I can just use ChatGPT. What are some recommendations you might give for how to respond?
I think some of the things you can tell them are the disclaimers that ChatGPT has there right away. It's not current data. They don't always give correct facts. There are pieces of software out there that are being developed and are already developed that can detect if something is if it's straight ChatGPT. Google already has an algorithm they can tell, and they lower your SEO based on you generated this with ChatGPT. Don't ask me what's in the algorithm. I don't know how they can tell, but Google can tell if it was ChatGPT. Now, it's kind of, the criminals get ahead a little bit, and then the police catch up, and then the criminals adjust and get ahead again. So, it's going to be a cat and mouse game for a long time, but it could hurt their SEO if they're using that in social media. Does that help a little bit at least? And I don't know the full answer for this. It is a moral dilemma because people are doing things with it that I would never dream of doing. But they have to sleep with themselves at night. I don't. Well, I sleep with myself, but I'm content with that. Other questions?
What Kevin said at the beginning, though, and I don't think you were on when you said that when he said this, Rachel, was ChatGPT or AI is not going to replace you. What's going to replace you is people who know how to use AI, and you can be the person who knows how to use AI better than their internal person perhaps knows how to use it.
So I have a question, Kevin. I was wondering, I feel like I've heard you say things that you would not use AI for, but what do you use AI for?
Well, for me, I have no problem generating prompts or titles for blog posts that I'm going to do. I draw the line at having it write those blog posts for me. I would use AI like Grammarly. I'll use Grammarly to edit any future versions of my book. If it's my text, if I write my book and I say to ChatGPT, reword this, and it's my writing, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I'll look at it, rewrite this to be more suspenseful or whatever. I don't have a big problem with that. But saying to rewrite it in the style of Stephen King or Stephen Covey or Brene Brown or something like that, to me, I wouldn't do that. I did that for an example here today, but I will never use that rewritten chapter of my book in that form.
So Kevin, what about as a writer, is that we normally hear people talking about writer's block, and when you sometimes hit that block, that's using Chat GPT might be a way to just kind of jump out of that block for a little while.
I don't have a problem with that. Just getting a few, give me some ideas on where to head with this paragraph, a couple ideas for a next couple sentences. Maybe that extra sentence or two will get you going, but don't have it write a whole thing. And, you know, one of the examples I gave early in the talk was table topics. You know, I see people all the time when they're table topics master at a Toastmasters meeting, bring out that 365 table topics questions that is out there on Toastmasters website. So I have no problem if I'm running table topics today and I want to do it around a theme, typing in the chat GPT, give me 10 table topics questions on, you know, spring or summer or fall or whatever, and using those. It's something that's meaningless. It's not for profit. I think that's another threshold. If you're using it to do something for a profit and you know, people think, and you're not giving chat, you know, if you say, I generated this white paper using Chat GPT, and, you know, if you give Chat GPT the credit, I don't care, using my own prompts, but don't deceive people and make them think that you wrote this and you did all the work on it.
Kevin,
And
before
then the
you
person
end,
that did table topics at our club the other day came right out and told us right in the beginning, you know, I used Chat GPT to do this. And, you know, more power to her. I respect that.
Kevin, you have two questions, but before you get to those questions, I'd like to request those of you who are guests this evening or are not members of our club, would you please put your name in the chat to me directly? And if you'd like to get information about programs like this, not only from this club, but I belong to two other clubs that are professional speaker oriented and would like to know about programs from them, please put your email in the chat directly to me, not to everyone. And we'll make sure that you learn about this. I know that Connie had a question, and I think Rodney had a question. Is that correct?
Okay, go ahead.
My question was related to copyrights and whose is it? I noticed that you put your writing into there so it could, Chat GPT could evaluate it or do something with it. Now, did you just lose rights to what you put in or give rights to everybody else with that
According
put in there?
According to current, and I can only speak for the United States, according to current US law, I own that if I create the prompt and I change at least 20% of it. So, and I created 100% of that text, and then, you know, so I would own the rights to that, and I don't think any court would say, you wrote this book, you put it in Chat GPT, you wrote a summary, you know, so it's based on my work. I think I'm fine copyright wise.
Okay, so,
but you know, this is just starting to bubble up to the courts. I don't know what the courts are going to say a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. Congress is even talking about AI right now and what limitations they have to put on it. So,
yeah, because I wouldn't want it to like correct my memoir and then suddenly my memoir's out there.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Okay, thank you.
Connie, so just to clarify, a question maybe for Kevin. So if you're pasting your content, your personally generated content into a Chat GPT query, does that become part of a public domain, or how does that work?
I am sure Chat GPT, like Google, like Amazon, like any of those companies, has a record of it somewhere on one of their storage devices. So yes, but by the same token, my book, I copied and pasted a chapter of my book. My book's out there already. They were able to generate a summary of my book when I asked for write a summary of Bridge Over Adversity, True Stories about Overcoming Personal Challenges. It gave me a darn good description of my book when I just asked for that, 100-word summary of my book. So that's already out there. Now, if I just write something today that isn't out there electronically anywhere other than on my computer and Word, who knows who can get to that even. But yeah, I'm sure they have it somewhere. There is nothing private in our world anymore. least that's my opinion.
Kevin, let
Okay.
me just add one thing in relation to that. Part of what you just said, there's nothing private. The question is, does somebody know where to look or what to look for? So you might have your memoirs out there, but think of all the thousands and thousands of terabytes of information that is out on the internet. Would anybody even know to say, oh, you know what? I want to find Connie's memoirs on the internet. You would be delighted if people found your stuff on the internet because they might buy it. And that's the background on things like a lot of the music sharing websites where bands that nobody ever heard of puts their music on there. I think Bandcamp is one of them, where they want to be discovered. And so part of the challenge is, yes, we want to protect our intellectual capital, but at the same time, we also want to communicate that intellectual capital out to the broader world. So you've got to make that decision. Is it a world of abundance, or is it a world of non-abundance or scarcity? I tend to go for abundance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more people know about my book, the happier I am. Okay, so just a small plug for our Toastmasters Club too. This is a type of thing we do if we have a fifth Thursday in a month, or if we have something comes up that's pertinent. But we do have normal meetings that are different than Toastmasters meetings because we have roundtable evaluations for all of our speakers. They get to decide what we evaluate them on. They give us the questions that we answer as evaluators. We don't have a grammarian. We do things a little bit differently, but we have two speakers and a business speaker that talks about the business of speaking. So there are a lot of things that are different about it, but everybody in our club gets some amazing feedback. So if you're interested in expanding your Toastmasters experience, this is an advanced club and we really give some great advice. We're going to get one of our regular meetings out there on our website in the near future too. We haven't advertised before that we will post this to the general public. All of our other recordings are private for the members, but we'll do one in the near future so we can get that out there and you can actually see what our meeting is like. And you'd be surprised at the quality of the feedback you get in here. It's better than I've gotten in any other club. So that's just a plug for this club because that's part of the reason we do programs like this, to get you here and advertise this club. But hope you enjoyed tonight. And any other comments? Stan, as our president, do you have any closing comments?
I think Masayo had a question.
Okay, Masayo.
I just wanted to report that what I get from ChatGPT right now. I asked it to write an essay of the 500 characters. In Japanese, we count the length, we measure the length by characters, and it's instantly created a very good essay. But that was all wrong because that was about me, because essay is the author is supposed to me, and I asked the ChatGPT who is the author of this essay, and it answered that's me, Masayo, and who has the copyright, and it's me, Masayo. So I think everything is wrong. That was very fun experience, but please don't believe everything in what.
Yeah, you got to fact check it.
says.
And Messiah, one of our members is from Japan. We've had members from Australia, Mexico. We have members from Canada. So it's a good diverse group too. You get used to when you speak, we get US centric, or I live in St. Louis. I get St. Louis centric, and I say things where somebody that lives, in New Jersey will say, "What are you talking about?" Because I'm talking about toasted ravioli in St. Louis that nobody else in the world knows about. So, it's great to learn how to communicate with a more diverse audience, a global audience. And we have members from India as well that join us. Stan, you're muted. It wouldn't be a meeting without Stan being muted.
You know, it's funny as I just muted accidentally because I was already on unmuted. So we appear to be out of questions, but please do let us know if you'd like to know more about meetings like this. I'm saving the chat, and we hope that you found this valuable. I think that if we were to do this program in another year, we'd all know a whole lot more about AI, and we'd have different questions. So perhaps we are going to be looking at this very topic again in the future, simply because there's always more to learn. And now I have to figure out which one of those I want to pay for. So thanks, Kevin. You just cost me more money.
Well, do ChatGPT, and I paid for Grammarly and for Quillbot. I think it's like $100 a year for Quillbot, and Grammarly's even less than that. So, yeah. But you know, next year AI is going to be so much different too. It's not even going to be close to the same. It is growing by leaps and bounds.
And you didn't even cover the things about using the AI that generates images and how
Images,
can be used
music.
also.
Yeah. AI is doing just about everything you can think of.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to officially adjourn the meeting, but leave us on for a little while. If those of you would like to chat, Linda, will you please shut off the recording?